Look, I hate technology for technology's sake. Folding smartphones, when Samsung originally brought them out, seemed to be just that to me. We got glass to bend, so here's a phone that now bends, right? We've got this technology, let's just make something out of it. But that's not how tech manufacturers work. There's a roadmap, there are plans, and more often than not, there's a method behind the madness. And after 6 of these folding devices, actually more, 12 if you include the Fold and the Flip, I think it's clear where Samsung is going with all of this. There is criticism here that there's not enough innovation. It's too similar to the Z Fold5, and that the competition is delivering really exciting alternatives with this technology. But here are my feelings. It's now a staple, right? Folding phones are here to stay. They're creating and perfecting a form factor that's going to be around for a very long time. The core experience of using these phones actually matters. The display is structurally better than it's ever been. The software is way more polished than it's been previously. And the practicality of using the Flip as a daily driver is there. It's something that I don't think I would have said with the Z Fold original. Its goal is simple. It's supposed to be a flagship device held to the same exact expectations and standards as other more established Samsung smartphones like the S24 Ultra. I think they've gotten there, but in some ways they still haven't quite reached it. Let me explain. My daily driver is the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, and that's because I consider myself a power mobile phone user, and I don't say that lightly. This device is a core part of the way I do business and the way I do my work life. I film with it, I edit video with it, I require a full day battery without worrying I need to top up at any particular stage. I need to manage my day-to-day life with it, stay in contact with clients, and even on occasion I'll sit down and write scripts with it. In the evening, this thing still doesn't leave my side. I play games on my phone, I listen to podcasts, or I just doom scroll TikTok to kind of like refresh my brain. It's easy to say this, but my smartphone is the most important and most used device in my life. Don't think I'm alone here. Folding that device can mean a lot of extra usefulness. Like, firstly, it makes things a lot smaller, right? And easier to carry around with a folded dimension of 85.1 millimeters by 71.9 millimeters with a thickness of 14.9 millimeters and weighing in at 187 grams. Unfolded, it's 165.1 millimeters by 71.9 millimeters by 6.9 millimeters. Comparable to like a regular bar phone, right? It's nearly there. I mean, that's pretty close. Secondly, there's the potential of having 2 screens. The regular one, right? The one on the front, and the cover display at the back. And lastly, it can act as a tripod of sorts, propping your phone up without the need for a cover or a tripod that you need to fit. Like, I've installed one of these MagSafe things to my Samsung 24 Ultra so I can put it on a tripod whenever I am shooting. And that's without the added benefit of seeing what I'm shooting, because I want to shoot with the rear cameras. Changing the form factor can mean a whole new way to use your device. This wouldn't mean anything unless the specs were at the very least comparable with other Samsung flagship phones, right? So let's check them out. The main display is a 6.7-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X with a resolution of 2640 by 1080 compared to the S24's, the S24 Ultra's QHD plus 3120 by 1440. That is a big difference. Surprisingly, the Flip also has a 120 Hz display refresh rate, which makes it potentially a really competent gaming device. It also makes it feel really snappy when using it. This refresh rate doesn't carry over to the cover display, however, and I'm sure that's fine, really. This is just a 60 Hz panel, basically the same resolution as an iPhone 16. I mean, the refresh rate is an iPhone 16. It's 3.4 inches, a Super AMOLED with a lower resolution of 720 by 748 pixels. A letdown for me is the lack of an under-screen fingerprint sensor, but that does exist in the side button. Having an under-screen fingerprint sensor is kind of it's a non-negotiable for me at this point using a phone. It's also, I don't understand iPhone users who don't have it. I understand that my mother stresses because she's on iPhone and she can't use it, and I understand that the facial recognition is great, but yeah, the trade-off is having it in the button, and iPhone didn't even have that. It's water-resistant, like IPX8, like the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip6, but this time around, it's got a dust resistance as well of IPX3. But whatever that dust resistance number is, I still wouldn't take this thing to the beach. I think I would. It's just stressing me out. These holes look too big, right, for dust to get in. Anything with moving parts and sand is just too much of a risk, in my opinion. I just wouldn't do it. Maybe if it's a car, you know, or big gears, but not a mobile phone that costs an arm and a leg. The colorways available are really nice. The Flip series is definitely the phone series where you actually want to express yourself. It's Samsung's high-end fun phone. That's why I really like this flip cover. I've done a video on it, so you can go check that out, but look how sick that looks. So cool. Speaking about expressing yourself, I've done a whole video collection on the official covers, some of which you're seeing in this video, like this flip one. So if you find this video useful and plan on picking up a case for your Z Flip6, consider using the links in the description. There are affiliate links. They do help the channel. And if you want to see full videos on those, I'll also link those videos in the cards so you can find the right cover for you. Possibly the most unique thing about the Flip series to me is that the rear cameras can ostensibly become the front-facing cameras when the screen is folded. That's all thanks to the cover screen transforming into a viewfinder so you can frame up your shot using that display. Arguably, this makes it the greatest selfie camera on the market right now with a 50 megapixel primary camera and an f-stop of 1.8. I think that is huge. The ultra-wide is only 12 megapixels with a 2.2 f-stop, unfortunately, but this is still leagues ahead of pretty much every other self-facing camera on the market. Speaking of the front-facing camera, it's not great. It's only a 10 megapixel camera with an f2.4 aperture. It's not totally forgivable, but of all the phones to nerf that particular camera, the Flip and the Fold, I guess, is going to be the right one to do it on. It's so easy to access the camera when the Flip is folded closed that all you need to do is just double tap the lock button just like this and you're good to go. Samsung, if there ever was a phone right now on the market that needed a dedicated camera button like the iPhone 16, then I think the Flip would be the phone. Regardless, it works as fast and as well as you'd expect. Here's some example shots of some photos that I took. Video performance, which is very important to me, is also very good. The main camera supports 4K up to 60 FPS, and the slow motion is 1080p up to 240 FPS. The S24 Ultra obviously has a much more powerful camera array, but honestly, these specs are extremely impressive in a phone that folds into your pocket. I mean, these are like remarkably different sizes, and this is getting comparable footage because even though this shoots 8K, like we don't often shoot, you know, that resolution. This seems like a very practical device to take with you. It's just usable. Just check out this footage. Performance is great thanks to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Samsung chipset, the same one that's in the S24 Ultra. From other reviewers' benchmarks, it seems that the Z Flip6 is throttled to a certain degree, something that I kind of sort of expect given that the screen resolution is smaller than the S24 Ultras and the battery is slightly smaller at 4,000 milliamp hours. The wired charging is also a little bit slower at 25 watts, but it also does support 15-watt wireless charging. Again, something that I wouldn't expect, but is really nice to be there. It's even got reverse wireless charging, which great if you've got buds or, you know, a smartwatch. In terms of OS, it's rolling with Android 14 with One UI 6.1.1 straight out of the box, and there's 8 gigs of RAM, which is sufficient. But if I was nitpicking, I'd have it like added at least 12 gigs of RAM for a phone that prides itself as a multitasking device. Remember, the whole idea is that you can use different parts of the phone for different things, but I haven't run into a situation that the phone is left wanting. But I mean, there's a good couple of years of security updates that are guaranteed, so I don't know what the new software is going to do and how fast that's going to slow down. So I would have liked 12 gigs of RAM. We got 250 gigs of storage. It's got the expected 5G, Wi-Fi 6E, NFC for Samsung Pay and other NFC capabilities, and Bluetooth 5.3. All top tier. for a flagship device. But on the battery side, like I mentioned, it's got that 4,000 milliamp hour battery, which isn't the best, but is definitely sufficient for most people. And that 25-watt fast charging that I mentioned, which should get you 50% power in about 30 minutes, and 15-watt wireless charging, you should be good to go, right? If you've got a wireless charger in your car or something by your bedside, you know, you're good to go. I would like to see a larger battery next year though, Samsung, or at least maybe an S25 Ultra with a foldable version. I mean, we can dream, right? How useful the device is folded is up to how you set it up and how supported the apps you use are on it. There is a disappointing lack of supported cover screen apps straight out of the box, but if you can get your hands on Good Lock in your region, because in South Africa we don't really have that, but we also have something called Fine Lock, which is the workaround. Maybe you can download that in your particular region, you're off to a pretty good start. I'm not sure why Samsung have limited so many possibilities and so many possible use cases of apps on the cover screen, when apparently the competition like OnePlus or Motorola are more friendly to apps working on cover screens and cover screen customization. It's strange to me, right? Samsung are the king of this kind of stuff. That said, the Good Lock, Fine Lock workaround, it does fine. It works, right? It just takes a little bit of fidgeting, something that you might not be prepared to do, but it's, you know, once you get around that, it's great, and you can do most of the things that you'd like to. I'm happy to do a video breaking down all of that if you'd like. Just let me know in the comments if it's going to be helpful to you, if something that you're interested in. But if you can't wait for that, make sure that you check out Hale's World's video, which I'm going to link in the cards as well. Hale's World's done a really great video breaking down a bunch of things that you can do with your Z Flip6 that might convince you that that's worth it. I love the cover screen. I think this is one of the shining stars of this device, and it's come a long way since the first one, but barely had anything. But the stuff that I find super useful has been obviously tasks, because tasks are over here. Calendar, the calendar app is awesome because then you can just see like the entire calendar in front of you. Smart Things is amazing. Like you can open up your front door using your phone, for instance, I think is awesome. And even ChatGPT, I've seen a lot of people do this with ChatGPT, and I think it's really cool. Hey ChatGPT, what do you think of the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip6?
The Samsung Galaxy Z Flip series is pretty cool for people who like compact foldable phones.
Do you think people should subscribe to my YouTube channel?
If you're sharing content you're passionate about and giving people valuable insights on Samsung devices, I think your channel would definitely be worth subscribing to.
Hey, ChatGPT said it, not me. Flex mode is this mode where the phone folds up like this, and it's arguably one of the most important parts of what Samsung are doing with their folded phones. And the idea is that in this folded state, you can unlock capabilities of apps and of features, ones that you just simply can't do with a traditional slab phone. So to access the flex mode for all apps, because that's not necessarily on by default, all you have to do is go to the settings and switch it on. This turns your Flip into a cute little laptop with like a little mouse cursor touchpad at the bottom and the app at the top of the screen, and then you can either interact with it with this mouse cursor, or you can add an app to the bottom as a split screen device. And some apps actually have custom layouts for this mode, for this flex mode, which is awesome, like the calendar app, for instance, and Google Hangouts. But other than that, I just think it's a really cute, nice to have, and nothing more really. I don't like the idea of using a mouse trackpad to interact with this small half screen when I can have a full screen with the phone as a slab and interact with it, right? That's so weird to me. Maybe this makes more sense on a fold device than it does on a flip device, but yeah, maybe some games could work like that. I don't know. Split screen apps are great, but those already exist on other Samsung devices like my S24 Ultra. They do have larger screens, and it's a little bit easier to navigate that with the split screen mode. So flex mode is hit or miss depending on the kind of apps that you do use with it. And maybe there's an app that you find that's indispensable with this mode. I just don't think so. The only app that I do think is indispensable is the camera app. However, it's got some dedicated camera controls, the ability to preview your shot with the rear cameras, holding it like a camcorder like this, which is really cool in this flex cam mode, and simply propping it up whenever you're just filming, or if you're taking, I took a WhatsApp call earlier with it, and it was awesome. It's the one thing that makes going back to a slab phone really difficult. It just literally makes sense that phones can do that. Gaming performance is excellent. To be honest, I actually wasn't expecting much on this front, and I had quite a few concerns. Firstly, the hinge along the middle made me worry, and having this visible crease the entire time. But you will hear this in a lot of different reviews. The crease size is decreasing. It's barely there. But especially if you're playing with a bright screen and you're in the middle of the game. And also the hinge in the middle, I always thought that like maybe I was like gonna grip it and then while I game, because I grip quite hard, that I was gonna like bend the phone. There was a high chance of me closing it while I play. Fortunately, this simply just doesn't happen. Because of the 120 hertz panel, I was comfortably able to play League of Legends Wild Rift at 120 FPS per second on that gorgeous AMOLED display running that Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset. Also shows that Samsung aren't skimping on performance here. This is a high-end flagship device after all, and Samsung isn't shy in letting us know that. The biggest failing here, in my opinion, especially when it comes to gaming, is the 4000 milliamp hour battery. And it seems that Samsung is indeed throttling performance in comparison to the S24 Ultra series, if you look at other reviews and benchmarks that people have put out there. Maybe that's for safety reasons, because remember, the battery is split into two. Or maybe people think maybe it's for overheating. Maybe the screen is a lot more sensitive to heat on this display than a traditional display. I don't know that, and I don't think I'll ever know that. But that aside, I do want to see more games using this flex mode because it's such a unique form factor. Imagine playing Battleships or something like this with like online with somebody, or Scrabble would be awesome. If you've got any ideas, let me know in the comments. I think it'll be sick. Words with friends. People should play words with friends like this. And lastly, we can't mention the Z Flip6 or any Samsung devices actually in 2024 without mentioning Galaxy AI. Samsung has implemented all of the Galaxy AI features from One UI 6.1.1 inside of the box. So that's what you pull out when you pull it out when you buy it, including sketch to image, live interpreter, live translate, and circle to search. I really like sketch to image. It's where you can alter images by drawing on them, and it'll render photorealistic versions of what you've drawn into your picture. This is awesome, by the way, for YouTube thumbnails, because you can imagine what you want your thumbnail to look like and make it a little bit more exciting without knowing Photoshop. The other notable AI drawing feature is where Galaxy AI helps convert a sketch mockup that you've done, right, and then render that into a particular work of art. I'm not a huge fan of this. I think it's a little bit gimmicky. It's something that looks like they've borrowed from the early days of Midjourney, but maybe some people will end up finding it useful. You either love or hate them, but folding phones look like they're here to stay. This is the 6th iteration of the Z Flip6 or the Z Flip series. Although there are a few things that Samsung can definitely improve on, the Samsung Z Flip6 is one of, if not the most exciting foldable smartphone on the market for a couple of reasons. It's got that sweet Samsung software, One UI 6.1, and an ecosystem that's supported and that's fine-tuned over the course of 6 years. It's going to have future security updates, and this isn't Samsung's first rodeo into the realm of foldable, so you're getting the best grade foldable hardware out there at the moment. So people will throw flashy things at you, like the OnePlus stuff. I don't know what the hardware is like, but they haven't had the expertise and the run-ins that Samsung have had to create this device. If you're a maximum power like cell phone user, however, the S24 Ultra might still just be the phone for you. But if you're the type of person who appreciates the benefits of a folding device like this, then you already know who you are and you already know that you want to use one. And you're not going to go wrong with the Z Flip 6.